All right, guys.
Hello, and welcome to
Obsolete Game of
Nerd. Love it.
We are your
Said it.
non-geek, non-nerd hosts, JP and Rohan, Salt and Pepper, and I'm wearing my hunting shirt because we have on our show tonight the Minthunter himself, James from Minthunter Comics. Rohan, give this man a proper introduction, though, please.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a whale on with us tonight. We've always talked about when we first got back into the hobby, people told us to watch videos on YouTube. James Minthunter Comics is obviously one of the first ones, probably both JP and I found, along with a couple of others. So, we've been watching him since we've been in collecting. So happy to finally have him on our show. So James, how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Really appreciate the praise, dude. It's nice to be recognized. I really appreciate it. I'm good, man. What about you guys?
Yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great. So James, we always start off these with kind of the same first question, which is, what is your origin story when it comes to this hobby? Take us way back to start as a child. What's the origin story?
Well, there was a radioactive iguana
Oh,
on a school trip. Just kidding. Oh God. My origin story. So I'm just some nerd from New Jersey, I guess. I like me and a buddy first got introduced to comics. There was a local flea market right by his house, and my parents would drop me off at his house for some babysitting and stuff. Like literally that young. God, we must have been 5, 6, 7. I don't even know. And we would actually go to the flea market, and there was a vendor there. This type of stuff doesn't happen anymore. There was a vendor there that basically, if you were like a kid, he treated it like a library. And every week we would get honestly some pretty big stuff. Like I do actually remember getting the first Hobgoblin, on that's like the type of stuff of books that we were just getting. We would read all this Spider-Man stuff, honest to goodness, return the books the weekend after, get some more books, and just keep reading. So so much of my childhood was not even dropping a single dime on a comic because we just didn't have money like that.
I mean, you say that doesn't happen now. I feel like that's probably even rare back then. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, and now that I know that was the peak 90s boom, there was a huge, what we now know is a massive influx of greed. Before the COVID thing, we had the 90s boom. History repeats itself. And it's funny that I was able to get these experiences that young,
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. And then in middle school, out of nowhere, my cousin lost interest in comics. He just one day I came home and there were all these comics out on the table, and apparently my cousin just didn't want it. He wasn't interested in it anymore. And it was stuff with Marvel, it was all cosmic. So it was Infinity Gauntlet, Silver Surfer, and with DC, it was actually kind of cosmic too. Very Green Lantern, the 90s, not Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner run. So immediately my mind was blown, and all the I was super into obviously the death of Superman and all the major DC plot points. For example, Nightfall, Batman completely changed my life. It's what got me starting to draw, what got the creative juices flowing. Kelly Jones, my guy. So that's just how, I don't think I actually dropped money on a comic book till I must have been in high school or out of high school. No joke.
That's incredible.
I honestly, and then I started spending way too much money on comics. And now, what are you gonna do?
No.
Wait, so is there never? Oh, go ahead, JB.
I was gonna say, are you a guy born in the 70s or 80s?
I'm born in 1991.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Wish I was born in the 70s, man. I would be hoarding a lot more comics. That's for sure.
James, I was going to ask.
You found the Hobgoblin. I'm like, that's 83, right? So that's when.
Yeah. So that's these are like they weren't books off the shelf. Like these were
Right.
already known to be
Keys.
valuable books,
Huh.
even in the mid and late 90s. So
Yeah.
like, you know, it was cool that they were doing. Now that I know, like, dang, I don't even know if I could do that. You know, I'm across from a middle school. We have an antique shop set up actually at the middle school I went to, and we do get a bunch of kids in there, and super cool. I do give away free books all the time, but I don't know if I could give away like a hobgoblin now.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
300.
even just to lend it out, like, because I mean, obviously, like, if they're gonna flip through it, that could damage it. Then their values drop. It like it's a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know. I
I
don't
was
I don't think I could do it, and I don't know. That's a shame. I wish I could pay it forward like that, but
yeah,
I do like a massive Christmas thing every year. I usually buy a bunch of comics and just give it to kids and stuff.
yeah.
I try to pay it forward in that way.
Oh, yeah.
So, was there ever then a break for you, or have you always been in it since childhood?
Um, well, when I went to college, I loved it, but by that point, no one's giving college kids free
Yeah,
comics, right? No, come on. And unfortunately, when you're in college, you're broke as shit. So I do think it was severely put on pause for 4 years. Um, but I still had like comic book posters, and that when I was in college, the MCU was kind of like starting.
yeah,
So I
booming.
was
Yeah,
like always seeing stuff in theaters and blah 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 blah. I was always being a dork. I will die a dork. Yeah, that's just how that's gonna go. Yeah.
It's going
nice.
insane.
So then, when did so obviously JP and I, like I said, we came back to the hobby in our 40s essentially. We found your channel. When did you actually start making videos or start your YouTube channel?
COVID.
Okay.
I literally we were locked up. I was horribly miserable, depressed to no end at my job. I was a mortgage underwriter. Hated it. I was the asshole that had to call you and let you know your loan was denied. I was that guy. Couldn't stand that job. Soul sucking terribleness. So I was literally like, dude, I need to do something else. This is killing me. Like I need to try out these creative juices. Like I didn't know anything about video editing. I didn't know how to do any of it. But if you remember, we all just had so much time.
Hmm.
We just
Mhm.
had so much sudden time on our hands that it was like, all right, I'm just going to dive into this thing. And it became a hyper obsession. And then when I had like one or two videos get actually noticed, then it was like, okay, I'm going to I'm going to try to make the best comic book content out there. I don't think I actually do make the best comic book content out there, but that drive is still within me of just like, man, I want to make a really good, either entertaining or just really um, educational video about the hobby, maybe about keys that no one's heard of, whatever. 9.8 census counts, Canadian price variance, talking about Mark Jeweller's variants, and I really enjoyed the research. I initially was going to go to college for an English major, so I'm no stranger to deep, deep research. And basically, every one of my best videos, I think at least, it's just an essay. Essentially, I like do the research, compile a video essay, and just hit record and talk about I don't know UK price variants and stuff.
So right out the gate, when you started making, did you kind of have that as your kind of like area of expertise, or were you all over the place and kind of found your lane, or how did that work?
I was hyper obsessed with Gem Mint,
Yep.
Gem Mint's channel.
Yeah.
Um, Gem Mint, Mr. X, some of the
Oh, yeah.
more statue guys. And when I started making some money as a underwriter, it was kind of like, okay, now I'm an adult. I have some adult money. What can I put this into? I wish I put it into more comics, actually, because I kept buying statues. And when the YouTube channel started, I actually had a room full of statues at this point. So basically, the channel started as like, I'm going to be another statue channel.
Mm.
But very quickly, I found that the greats, Mr. X and Gem Mint, kind of had a monopoly on that type of YouTube video. So I had to be like, all right, you know what? Let's go back to my roots. Let's talk about comics. And at the time, this is kind of ish before the COVID boom. It was like comics were a lot cheaper than statues. Ironically, within that same year, we had the highest crazy boom of comic prices we've ever seen, and very quickly that became untrue. But I pivoted. I started with the statues, and then I was like, no, I need to make this needs to be more original. So I had a lot more fun diving into comics and origins and cool characters and stuff like that.
You're one of the few out of the group of people that we know, because we have a little group that we talk with on a daily basis. Most of them are not very big DC guys, and your favorite character, or at least was Green Lantern, correct?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Was
I
that
mean,
because of the cousin that had dumped all those Green Lantern comics?
probably. I mean, to be honest, my favorite character from DC is probably Batman. My favorite character from Marvel is probably Spider-Man. A very boring answer, but my love for Green Lantern is like right under Batman. And
Oh, yeah.
as I came to learn later, I was like, oh, like no one else seems to care about Green Lantern. This is weird.
No.
But I didn't know that. You know,
You have a pretty good collection of 9/8 Green Lantern books, correct?
third best in the world.
Wait,
Yeah.
how do you wait? Third, what is that? How do you know you're third best?
Based on the CGC registry. Now, I'm sure there are some people out there that haven't got it plugged into the website, but I mean, from issue 90 to the end of the run, I have a 9.8 of every single issue. That's
Wait.
From 90 to 224, I have 9.8s of everything.
Okay, so let's actually let's talk about that for a second. So when it comes to your personal collecting, what is it that gets you going? Is it that 9/8 of the runs that you collect, or
Minthunter.
like, yeah, no, I understand. But I mean, of what specifically? Like, he could be a Minthunter of just keys, but he's got a whole run of Green Lanterns. I want to know, what is it that gets your juices flowing?
He loves Ryan Reynolds. That's what we'll say.
Yeah. The best way I can explain it is like when I obsess over something, I see it through to the end. Sorry, I'm like taking my shoes off. And it seemed like such an insane, lofty goal. You know, like this is impossible. There's no way. And I just started it. It's kind of like how they say, like, how do you start eating an elephant? You just
Yeah, one bite at a time.
And that's honestly about the level of difficulty it has been, I will say. There's no way I will ever actually profit, I will say, because a lot of people don't know this. It's really hard to get 9/8s. So the amount of Green Lantern I've had to buy and then clean press, send out, and, you know, like just miss it with 9/6, 9/4, you know, it's been, I want to say 10 years in the making, but actually amazingly, it's only been like 5 or 6 years. It seems like a full decade, but it was only like 5 or 6 years. But
Yeah,
of like hunting it really hard, you know.
So would you say that's kind of what gets you going? Is this like kind of defining a goal and then
Yeah, I like seemingly impossible collections.
Okay.
Like another one I'm doing right now, and actually I'm selling so much of the PC that this, other than Green Lantern, this is going to be the only other thing I have, but raw, not graded. The Archie Sonic the Hedgehog series. I just loved it back in the day, and dude, they're so hard to find. I advertise heavily. I buy collections usually like twice a week.
Oh wow.
For now, like a couple years, I've never run into Sonic.
I never
Law
see
of probability would say I would run into one or two. Never happens. So it's a lot more expensive than you think. It's kind of a disaster. And it's another one I know I'll never recoup the money on that either. So I don't think I give the best economic advice. Because of my OCD, I do a lot of things that there's no way could possibly be considered smart. There's no way you should do what I do, basically. So, and I mentioned that a lot in my videos, like, hey guys, don't do this. You're gonna waste a lot of money,
I do want to talk about that, but first I want to ask, you did say Batman is a tick higher than Green Lantern in actuality. And I do
Yeah.
remember seeing a video where you had like the binders or whatever of all the Batman, but you're not keeping any of those.
Actually, I sold pretty much all that a few years ago at this point.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how old that video is.
Okay.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot better about. I mean, there's a lot of books that I said I would never sell, but we all know how it is. The moment you get a little bit low on money, or sometimes full on broke, you got to sell the crap that you said you were never going to sell. And I've had some highs, and I've definitely had some lows. Right now, we're actually going to be closing on a home in about a month, and basically all the money I have in the world is going to the down payment on this thing. So, like, honestly, I'm even thinking, like, oh my god, this is getting crazy. Like, I might even have to sell the Green Lantern collection. It could happen. I'm trying to move things to make sure that doesn't happen, but honestly, if it does happen, it'll be okay because I've gotten a lot better at being able to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then talk to me then about the grading side of it, right? If you're collecting that whole run in 9.8, I mean, like you said, you got to send out lots of books. And
don't try this at home.
Your episodes was like,
yeah, exactly. We
high.
watch those videos and you got this stack on your desk of this high, and it's like you're constantly sending books to CGC. So kind of tell us about that.
Well, I can say now, because there's so few issues missing. Basically, volume 3, the 90s run, I'm also collecting. I'm missing like literally 10 issues. I want to say there's 183 issues, and I'm missing 10. So I'm submitting a hell of a lot less to CGC, because I only submit perfect comic books. I don't waste time being like, oh, there's one spine tick here, maybe it'll be okay. No,
you just won't risk it.
Just don't waste your time or money. So I've gotten better at that, and honestly, I feel like I'm barely submitting at all anymore. So,
but before you were doing quite a bit then.
Before it was insane, and again, it was such a like there's no recouping of money in it. But that's what it's all about. To me, is the hunt, and that was like I wanted to live up to the YouTube channel name Minthunter Comics, and I was trying to obtain a very seemingly unobtainable goal. And there's a little high that you get off of that. Like every time you get another 9.8, it's a teeny piece of the puzzle.
JP and I were just talking about this today. He was talking about pre-code horror stuff that he's starting to dabble into, and he's like, it's funny that you get one of these covers, and then it's like you get one, you want another one. And he's like, that's how it is with PC. And I go, and I said, I don't think that's really just PC. I think that's whatever you find your kind of lane. That's kind of the name of the game. You get that next one, you're like, oh, now I gotta go for the next one.
Yeah, and pre-code horror is no joke for the budget there. Whew. Well, that's one of the issue with
the pre-code is that there are thousands of cool covers. Just like any golden age Superman, you can find a cool cover that says, "Oh, that's $1,000, $500." There's 10 of those. There's 10 pre-code books that have, zombies on the cover, decapitation. Is that the money book? I don't know. Is that better than having crime suspense stories 22? You got the cheaper light version of it for less money, but then you want the bigger one. It just there's no like collecting every Green Lantern there's a finite number. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Collecting all the Silver Age keys, there's finite.
And actually, a lot of the books that I have, some, especially for the 12 centers, I have some like 9.4s and 9.6s that they are the highest graded copy. Like, that's it. You got it. You have the highest graded copy. I think like 6 to 8 of my books are the only or tied with the best copy that exists. That's a new high, man.
There you go.
That's
So,
cool.
James, let me ask then. Let's just
Oh,
say
yeah.
it. Hopefully, obviously, you're able to figure out the down payment and you don't have to do it. But in a scenario where you do have to break up that Green Lantern run, does the OCD in you make you, once things are kind of settled and you're back on, would
No.
you go back?
Once it's time to sell, like once I've bit the bullet and it's like, okay, we're selling this, I can piece them out. At that point, I've mentally detached. It'll be fine. But for right now, when I'm trying to build the collection, selling off even just one is unthinkable.
Hard.
Oh my god, no way. But I'm nearing that point where, and honestly, frankly, it's kind of a really good time to sell Green Lantern.
Because of the show coming up?
Yeah, there's multiple projects in the horizon. Also, people in general are just starting to notice that Green Lantern quality is really good. The Jeff Johns 2000s run is still considered by many, not just me, as one of the greatest comic book runs. It's in a
Yeah.
lot of top tens. So Green Lantern has been down, like the bottom of the barrel. I think I was collecting it at the perfect time because I've started to notice a rise in interest. So it would be a good time to sell, quite frankly. I mean, selling anything in this current market's not so great. If you can wait like a year, I think it might be better, but we'll see. Some things are just hot when they are and not when they're not.
Mhm.
Well, that was going to be my dovetail question, I guess, into selling. Do you think things will be better in a year from now, or have you noticed that, like, the Wolverine Deadpool movie came out, and really the Wolverine, the 181, those related books didn't jump a ton or didn't stay that way?
So
So
bona fide keys are bona fide keys. No movie is going to really change that. Like the first Wolverine is a historic and cultural staple, so it's a little bit different. I think you see a lot more fluctuation in books of the last 20, maybe even 30 years, and maybe even 40 years. Those are way more subject to change. But like 70s and 60s keys, when they take a hit, they only take a little hit. Golden Age, when they take a hit, it's like barely. So I think Wolverine's going to be fine.
I mean, I think over time it'll be fine, but I'm just saying, like, such the pop, like we got in early in 2022, right?
Yeah,
And
the
we
end of the
thought
boom.
Highs. Yeah.
end of the boom. We thought it was the end of the boom, and we wrote it down. And a lot of those books, like, I'm down $1,000 in these books that I bought
Sure. Oh,
easily.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll get back to that point. And really, if you're looking at it, if you want to just own it, like you said, I just want to have all the Green Lanterns. I don't care what it is. That's different than I bought the book for the appreciation value plus to have
Yeah.
the historic value of it. There's probably
Oh,
a better investment in the next 10 years than the book itself. And
so,
and who knows how much farther it goes down.
yeah. First of all, history always repeats itself. So there's going to be downs, there's going to be ups. This is the biggest down I've ever seen, and I'm a student of the comic book history. We've got like 20-year lows on some books. Like it's insane out there. It's ridiculous. Luckily, I think we've hit the bottom, truly. I've actually started seeing a slight uptick. So finally, we might be getting back to a little bit of normal. But also, I'll say that I do genuinely think, as fun as this is, comics are not the best investment.
No, they're definitely not. If you
Like,
need to have like promising returns, I would go elsewhere.
yeah, like if you talk to a financial guy, he'd be like, "No," you know. And I feel bad
That's,
for all those people that sink money into like 1 in 500 variants and stuff. It's like, dude,
oh yeah.
that's like buying a car off the lot. The second you get it in your hand, that thing just lost $100. That's you're not
And
getting that money back.
that my day job has to do with investments, so I get that side of it.
Yeah,
So that's why I look at the
open a
comic.
Roth. You
What's
know,
that?
He
you
opened a
Oh yeah.
want
Roth.
to make money. Get a Roth. Don't sink it into comics. And if you're gonna sink it into comics, Golden Age, baby, maybe Silver Age.
Well, I
That's
tell you what, I grew up in the 90s, right? You
yeah,
were born in the 90s. I was collecting in the 90s, and I remember baseball cards, football cards, and comics. I could open a pack, get a Frank Thomas or a Griffey Jr., and make $30 going to the comic show or baseball card show.
Yeah.
I could wheel and deal and make money. And that's what 2022 felt like, because there was all this hype with the shows and the key comics that were coming out. And now it doesn't, like Daredevil's coming out, the Muse will be in. How long will that guy be an important factor key book? It's a great cover by all means, but it isn't going to be, a Kingpin down the road, I don't think.
No, there's books like, the first appearance of Muse. I think in my brain, that's a solid $20 near mint. And the show's going to come and go. I think it's going to be amazing. Dude, that trailer got me hyped.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for the show as
It
well.
is.
Dude, like, I am such a Daredevil nut. I like forced my wife to watch it. She doesn't care about that stuff. I forced my parents to watch it. They really don't care about that stuff. So yeah, the thing is, like, a good book's a good book. And like, Muse the character is going to come and go. Maybe he'll only have a couple episodes too. Like, he's going to catch a beating from Daredevil and it'll be over. But you know what? I still will never think that that'll be a dollar bin book. I still think it's going to be a $20 book. I don't play the game now of like marking it up to $40-$50, but I'm pretty consistent. Like, that'll be a $20 book there. And there's a lot of great underrated, or like books that blah blah blah, they get their high, they get their low, whatever. Comic fans know what it is, and it's still cool as hell. So
I actually say what some of my favorite videos of yours are, like when you're like top 10 underrated Batman keys, or top,
favorite thing in the world to talk about.
Those are actually my favorite videos of yours. So
yeah, me too. Because it's like
that's where I got. What's the Detective Comics with the first? There's a you mentioned on one of the top keys of Batman books. It was like Detective 600 and something. The first appearance of Jesus. He's a new.
Hush.
You just had
Hush.
Henry.
Not Hush, before
Anarchy.
Hush. Anarchy. Yeah.
Anarchy. Oh, 608.
I wouldn't know to find it if you didn't say that. So that's cool.
Oh, that's a little bit more known character, sir. You should read your DC. I should
read a comic. I don't read any comics.
JP only reads pop-up books.
Dude, and actually, like, on that note, Anarchy. Where is it? Oh boy, this is a little tight. I have my Batman villain.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
So that's sweet.
Yeah, I'm a big Batman fan. This entire arm's going to be a sleeve of Batman villains.
So that's why you don't need the run of Batman. You got it on your arm.
I got it on my arm, dude. Yeah. It's fine. So yeah, I got Anarchy, Joker, Penguin, Poison Ivy. I even have freaking Brother Eye. I bet like 4 people know that one. Mad Hatter,
Man.
Catwoman. I got Two-Face Coin, and there's Riddler, and there's a little tiny Harley Quinn. I don't know what the hell I'm doing for Solomon Grundy. I don't know what I'm doing for Ra's al Ghul.
What about Calendar Man?
That I don't know how I'm going to
Mr. Freeze?
I don't have. I was thinking of like doing like I thought a snowflake would be a little boring, so I was kind of trying to do like the globe of Nora.
I was gonna say you could do the globe of his wife. That'd be a cool.
Yeah, or like you could do like his red goggles, but I don't know. I gotta figure that one out.
How about some Calendar Man?
Nice, man. So I was gonna, for Calendar Man, I was thinking about, it's all gonna come up here and stop at the wrist. I was thinking for Calendar Man, you're gonna get your like January, February, March, like how he has across his forehead.
Now, James, is
right
that
here.
for professional reasons? The stopping right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it on the hand. I don't like hand tattoos. I don't know. And I want to stop at just the arm. I have no tattoos anywhere on the rest of the body. I like the idea of just a sleeve. We'll see. We'll see if I have the self-control. It might be like the Green Lantern thing, and I just have to have it all, and suddenly I'm fully tatted. I don't know.
So, James, let me ask now. So you're full-time doing comics. That's YouTube, that's selling. What does your kind of day-to-day, week-to-week look like in that area then?
Dude, it's insane. So I do work an 80 to 100 hour work week. It's a lot.
But it's your love, though, right? It is your
It
passion.
is my love, and you have to love it, otherwise you'll go insane. Uh, People don't know this side, but like the YouTube editing, I typically finish that at like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm constantly hunting down leads, getting the books, rebagging and boarding, pricing. I do like 2 claim sales a week. I work 2 days at the antique shop. Um, it never ends. But I've always been extremely type A. My entire life, the moment I was able to work, I've never had just one job. I've
Mm.
always had 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 jobs.
So you're like one of those guys that'll never retire kind of thing.
Yeah, dude, like I was in high school and like, kids would want to get like stoned after school and I'd be like, "Nah, dude, I got to make money." Like like I was just like, "No, I want
It's not
money."
for me.
Yeah,
So
and
you mentioned earlier you're buying potentially 2 collections a week. How are you sourcing these? Like, I feel like at some point the well runs dry, or no?
I haven't run into that yet. Well, because I pay really well, and I know that, and I advertise that. I pay like ridiculously better what comic shops will pay. So basically, I get like a breakdown of people's stuff, and I like break it down for them, and I just give them a percentage, and they basically it's like too good of an offer for them to decline, and we ship it. So I get comics.
Oh, so
Most
you're
of
going
the
all
collections
over
I
the
get
country
in, I
then?
will say, it's been a while since I've got a big collection, meaning like 20 to 40 to 50 long boxes. A lot of the collections sometimes are just one long box, you know? Um, but I get it all pretty much shipped. But honestly, having the antique shop has been great because sometimes I just get walk-ins, no
Mhm.
appointment,
Yes,
just
we have a
people like show
comic book
up.
shop.
Yeah, people show up like some once in a while. People show up with like really good stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't think I have enough money to offer this. Can you come back in a month? Like that's actually happened. Like for the really good stuff, it's like I can't do this right now. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you always hear that's why that's the one advantage of the brick and mortar is that the collections do just come into your door, which is something you can't repeat.
Yes.
Like what would you say? What's your reach? Like, are you going outside of Jersey? I mean, you said you're shipping them, so how far are you getting collections from?
I'll get collections from anywhere within the U.S. It does get a little tricky when it's like Europe. That's when it gets a little hairy. But I've gotten Mexican collections, I've gotten Canadian collections, so North America. Um,
Uh, this is a good question. So Matrix is asking, of your viewers of your YouTube channel, how many of them have hit you up to sell their collections?
I would say the percentage of collections I get, I do feel like the majority, like more than 50% of them know the channel and like specifically want to sell to me. It's actually more infrequently when it's just like, "Hey, I heard you're a guy who buys collections." Most of these people know, like, "Hey, I've seen your channel. Would you like to buy a collection?" Um,
So you mentioned you advertise. So beyond your channel, are you advertising anywhere else then?
nope. Dude, I throw it at the end of every YouTube video. Like, I'm always buying. Come to the
Okay.
shop. Blah 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 blah. Blah, that sort of thing. And
So
because I
if
make,
it, if it,
I
go
make.
ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm a bit subsidized by the YouTube, right? YouTube pays me a little bit. It basically pays for the utility bills and such. Um, and I have a couple irons in each fire, so I'm kind of able to give a better percentage
Mhm.
than comic shops are. No disrespect to comic shops. They got to get their grind. It's tough out there. I get it. But I also know that there is such thing as comic karma. You can't screw people over because it will bite you in the ass. I know that in my soul. Um, and I just do believe in doing the right thing. So yeah,
We know a guy like that.
He was
yeah,
here earlier. I don't know if he's still here, Mike, if you're
Yeah,
still
Mike,
on there.
lunch money, Mike. Yeah, Mike feels the same way. I think there's nothing wrong with that. We've had this discussion, not to get too far off the rails where we were going, but you walk into somebody brings you a collection, and there's a AF-15 in there, or you go to a garage sale and you see it, are you telling the person that it's an AF-15?
Well, I think that's two different scenarios though, JP. Like when someone
Tell me.
brings you a collection and they're like, "Hey, what were you gonna like?" You don't. I 100% am with you. I would never lie to someone like, "Oh, this is worth $100."
Right,
You
right,
know,
not lying,
you know,
but-
I'm not lying. My kind of take is like if I went to an antique store, for example, and they had a AF-15 and they had it on $50, I would grab that AF-15 and I would go for $50 and I would run out to that store and sing my praises. I would not be like, "Excuse me,
what
this
Mike
comic
would
is
do-
worth $25,000."
Mike would say,
Yeah.
"Wait, this is worth 25,000." You know, and they would say, "Well, Mike, I tell you what, we like you so much, we'll give it to you for 5."
So yeah, it does get a little. It's not exactly black and white now, is it? So I would never lie if I'm at a yard sale and there's something insane, Hulk one, whatever, AF-15. I am going to tell them for two reasons. I'm kind of stuck, right? People would ask me, "Where'd you get that?" "Hey, James from Minthunter Comics, where'd you get a mid-grade Hulk #1?" I can't exactly admit, like, "Oh, I got it from some old lady for $1." Not a great look.
Yeah.
Not
I
a good
agree.
look.
Like the
So,
platform and position you're in, it kind of
yeah,
forces you
and
into that.
that's actually a little bit of like a blessing and a curse, a little bit. To be honest, it holds me accountable. Like I can't go and be a scumbag ever,
Mhm.
even if I want to. Once in a while, I can't do it. You know, so I honestly can't. But
I want to ask
Runner's a
this. So
bitch.
right about one thing, Rohan. If it's a seller at a flea market or an antique shop, and they've got an ASM 300 or whatever the hell, and they've got it priced already,
That's what I'm talking about.
yoink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is where I'm coming from. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I would never deceive anyone. I would never lie. I would absolutely
Yeah.
always be honest.
And listen, I know people. I'm not gonna name drop this. I know guys. They call me like proud of this, and I think, wow, that's really scummy. They're like, yeah, this lady had a collection, and a lot of people were interested, and they went with me because I have a little bit of influence, whether it be YouTuber or Instagram or whatever. And he's like, and then I made an offer of like $500 and took it. I was like, wait, so you earned their trust because you showed them your reputation and your channel and everything, and then you screwed them? If they went with someone else, maybe that other person would have been more upfront. So that's a problem. And I actually did a whole video of this like a month or two ago. I forget what it was called, but it was like the ethics of essentially running into an AF-15. Like, what do you do? And that video ended up doing way better than I could have thought. So that was cool.
What I mean, and
Well,
now
I
we're
think
into
I
this.
went up and watched it.
What are some of the best finds that you've kind of come across in these scenarios?
Lately, um, I started going to the flea market again. And, like I've been finding 30, 40, $50 books for like 50 cents, which is always fun. You get that high. It's been a little while since I've had a made because typically if there's a collection valued at $10,000, right? People are coming in, I'm breaking it down. I get a little skim off the top percentage on that. But in terms of like actually finding stuff in the wild and being able to quadruple and quintuple your money, it's been a while. I did spend $30 this past Saturday, and I found $600 worth of books. Went on Sunday and practically did the exact same thing again. So I got like $1,500 worth of books this week for about $70 from the flea market, which that's amazing. But
yeah.
in terms of like finding the first Guy Gardner, which has happened to me, it's been a while. Been a while. I know I did get like first. I have a couple wins where like I was at the flea market and I found the first Jason Todd. I got it for $1, and it ended up getting a 9.8, which
Oh,
was during COVID too, and it was a newsstand. So that was like $2,000.
Yeah, that's something that I think is crazy. It's like, it's one thing I think you find a cool key at a flea market, but to like find it in a 9.8, that seems
Dude,
like insane to me.
you guys ever do any grading?
No, I don't really grade much.
Okay. First thing you need to know, forget what all the YouTubers say. 9.8s are really hard to get. So when you get a flea market find getting a 9.8, dude, that's a high, man. I'm telling you right there. That's like the best feeling in the hunt.
When you walked out of there, did you like, this has 9.8 potential?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was excited as hell. That's a book you'd be happy to get in any grade.
Is that first Croc Hunter too, or is that a different book I'm thinking of?
It's been debunked. It's not actually the first Croc. It's a really, 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 really weak cameo. Like it's so. What is it comparable to? Like I think a really good first appearance cameo is Wolverine. Like full final page. That's a really good cameo. This first Killer Croc in 357, that's a garbage cameo, dude. It's bad. Same way, the first appearance of Darkseid, Jimmy Olsen 134. That's a terrible first appearance, dude. It's like the final panel looks nothing like him. He's in a tiny TV monitor. It looks terrible. So I don't know. I care about that stuff. Like, what's a better?
Well, that's an issue too, because you're talking about 180 has a nice Wolverine at the end of it, and I had Forever People #1, which is Darkseid's second appearance, and he's more in that book than Jimmy Olsen.
What's so funny about that one too is that it's not like the Jimmy Olsen book has like some spectacular cover so far better than the Forever People one. So it is interesting to know.
The Forever People one is a Jack Kirby cover. It's terrible.
Isn't Jimmy Olsen 134 a Neil Adams though?
Is it Neil Adams? I just know it's like he's like laying out. Like, I mean, I don't think it's anything spectacular. It's not like, for example, with Hulk 180 and 181. Like, you have the 181 cover.
Like, honestly, in my brain, if you're going to give an entire page to a character, that's a first appearance, homie. I kind of think Hulk 180 is the first appearance, but I get it, man. 181 is such an insanely better cover. So, like, I'm going to lose that argument any day of the week. So
I mean, the way I always tell people is like, how you want to say it, like, everyone can define it differently, right? I think the one thing that's undeniable is which one is the money book. Like, that is not up to personal opinion. Like, we have data that shows which is which.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Gambit, X-Men 266, or Annual
14.
Now, what I do find really interesting, and I know a lot of people don't care about previews, I think they're amazing. Like, when you start talking about the first Black Suit Spidey, there's like 15 previews, and some of them are weak as hell and super stupid, but like they're cool, and like some of them are ridiculously scarce. It's like some weird Marvel magazine that nobody was picking up, and it's the actual first Black Suit sketch sent in by a fan, and like, whoa.
So then what would you think about like an advertisement? Like, for example, Action Comics 1 is the first appearance of Superman, but Superman was in an advertisement on, what is it? There's a Detective 16, and then there's like a More Fun 31 or something like that. There's an advertisement. So those are actually the first printed pictures.
Yeah, I think advertisements are cool, but that's not quite, to me, the same as
I would agree. Okay, I would agree. I was just curious if you had a
like, I definitely think it adds cool factor. What's it like? Iron Fist 13, people think it has value because it shows Iron Fist 14, and I think it mentions Sabretooth. So it's like, ooh, but I think it might raise the value like $10, $20. Certainly nothing insane.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, it adds a novelty factor that maybe but it's not the true. But I can understand the preview. So I think when I think of the preview, I think of like Spawn 1 versus Malibu Sun 13.
Yeah, and that Malibu Sun 13, he's on the cover. Too, so like, woo.
Like, you can get I think it's Thor 227 or something, or I forget the number that has the preview for Hulk 181.
Well, there's a couple. There's There's
Yeah.
a Daredevil cover or a Daredevil book.
I
too.
know exactly what Thor book you're talking about. There's also a Daredevil book, by the way. I think you
Yeah,
just
that's what I was just saying.
one. Is it 180? I think 8. There's an 8 in it. I forget, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Those ads for Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but those don't count the same way. Like Malibu Sun spawns on the cover. The preview book spawns on the cover too. So like I would put more grit
What
in
about
those
like
ones.
Miles
Outworld?
Morales? Doesn't he have a couple of those like on the cover preview things before Ultimate Fallout 4?
Yeah, he does. He's got that
Which-
one preview book, and that I think most people say previews don't count.
Yeah.
I think that's the majority. Me and my weird OCD brain, I just don't work that way. I'm like, oh no, this is the first cover or first mention or something. I have to have that. That's fine. Honestly, it's kind of nice that most people don't go that way. It makes for a little less competition. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I have the Comics Journal. I think it's 84, first Todd McFarlane printed. I mean, it's not a cheap book, but I'm a McFarlane guy, so I have as many as I can find.
Yep.
In that regard. But which I wanted to ask a question on I forget exactly what our topic was, but on Miles Morales, we were talking about like keys in the future and something that always will be $20 key or something that always will have value. Those books are dropping like a rock. And you brought up the preview of Miles Morales. Where do you see that book going
The
in
preview
regards
or the UF4?
UF4, whether not the jerk off variant, just the regular one that we.
Yeah, the Derjevic. Yeah, I think I pronounced that right. I have no
I
idea.
think you are right on that.
Derjevic. Cool art. I definitely prefer the Derjevic. Like, even throw away the value alone. I think it's a really good cover. There's too many of them. And honestly, like, a lot of people have them. So things like that are not scarce will continue to go down.
And I think that the issue too,
And
with
I
Ultimate
do think it's
Fallout,
going to bottom out, because like there does reach a point of no return where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of them, but it's still so popular that it's going to be okay. 9.8 ASM 300, right? It's always going to be a banger. UF4 is always going to be a banger, but if you drop $3,000 on it in COVID,
yeah,
you're never
I was
getting
gonna say. I think UF4 is always going to be a book that has decent value, but
yeah, I
like,
think it's always going to hop around $1,000 in 9.
yeah, exactly. I don't think it'll reach back to those like $3,600.
No, I don't think it'll ever hit $2,000 again.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think about like the 9.8 alone census count eclipses like
no, yeah, you have to
higher
understand.
census counts as of big keys.
Yeah, like there are some books that there's just too freaking many. Everybody, their dog and their mom wants that book, so they're finding them. Public knowledge is out there, rampant. People knows those books, so they're getting grabbed up left and right. And when you have a market full of them, yeah, your price is going to go down. The weird thing is, people interpret all these prices going down as, oh, every book needs to go down. No, man. And that's why you have these just insane lows right now. I was telling my wife, like, dude, I only started selling comics in the very end of 2022. And I was telling her, like, dude, if I had the inventory I have now
In 2022,
in
yeah,
2020 or
your down payment would be
2021,
no problem.
we wouldn't worry about the down payment. We wouldn't have to, literally, like, we'd go on a cruise. I don't even know. Like, and I know guys that, perfect example, Something is Killing the Children, #1. I know a guy that I think he got like an insider tip. He somehow just knew it was going to be a big deal. He contacted his local comic book shop, and he asked him to pick up 500 copies. He said the comic shop guy thought he was crazy. He did it anyway. He grabbed 500 copies of Something is Killing the Children. He got them all graded. And this is a dude during that book was over $1,000. He was getting over $1,000 per Something is Killing the Children #1 all throughout 2020 and 21.
It's good living.
If you're doing some math, this guy made 500K.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some-
Yeah, and And the
off of
smart thing is he didn't dump them
$2.99
at one
book.
time.
Yeah. So, sometimes people get lucky as hell. In my experience, whenever I try to do speculating, I fail.
Well, that's why it's funny.
My real love, and it's just like
we gotta.
I bought
got-
20 appearances of the first appearance of Virus, and it didn't end up being a big deal. Oh well.
It's funny. We're friends with Cheddar Comics, Chris, and like I don't know, maybe it's like 6 months ago now. He bought he loves the Jim Lee X-Men 1. It's his favorite book.
Sure.
And
fantastic comic book.
He bought like a small collection. It was like 300 Jim Lee X-Men 1s because the guy in 1992 did what your guy you explained it. Thought X-Men, like, I mean, we as a kid thought X-Men, it's number 1. This thing's gonna go crazy. Anyways, this guy bought like 300 of them and held them, and then ended up selling them to him in 2024 for like $200 for all 300.
I got a long box of Turok #1 in a collection, and I was just for like months. Whenever I was shipping out people's piles, everybody was just getting a free Turok #1. They're completely.
Those Valiant books were cool though, man.
Yeah, but you know what? Some of those Valiant books you got to watch out for. They actually do have value. Some sneaky ones, man. Oh yeah.
I'm a big
Manowar guy. Some Valiant stuff are like the most expensive books from the 90s. So like don't completely write it off,
Which ones? Like Harbinger 1, what else?
Harbinger 1's expensive, but I was talking about the Nintendo stuff.
Oh yeah.
The Mario.
Like the Nintendo Power. Oh no, I know which ones you're talking about.
Not Nintendo Power. I'm talking about like the kind of Nintendo Presents or something.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, Zelda was on the cover. I saw a bunch of those at the antique store that Basement finds, and they were all like $50 a piece, but they weren't issue number 1 or 2.
They're so expensive. Yeah, they're ridiculous. And a lot. If you ever have like error printing Valiants, you've got like $5,000. It's crazy.
I didn't even know of any error ones.
Yeah, I actually have. I have an error of a Ninjak #1. I'm getting graded. I actually even think it's a 9.8. Who knows what that's going to be worth? But I want to get that at a 9.8. That would be sick.
What's the error on it?
It's a completely see-through cover. Whoops! It's not supposed to look like that. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean it's a see-through cover?
Yep. Like
I don't
something
even know
went wrong. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like you can see the cover, but it's like it's see-through in some spots where like I've seen a billion Ninjak #1s. I've never seen them look like that.
Huh.
So maybe I got something cool. Maybe it's.
So this isn't a known error.
Then. No, it's not known. It's not on any website. It's not.
You just came across it.
I came across it. It could be a 1 of 1.
Yeah.
My favorite thing in the world. No, I love 2 things in the world. 1 of 1s and 9.8s from the 70s. Something really nice about getting a 70s 9.8. It's the cream of the crop. Like, yeah, there are some 9.8s of 60s books out there, and that's cool, but that's so unicorn.
There's a 9.8 of Captain America 1.
Yeah, sure. There's like 3 or 4 X-Men #1 9.8s, maybe 5 by now. There's even I think 2 first Iron Man. They're out there. Mm-hmm. I've seen books where you can see the inside cover through the trade dress. Sounds like I don't have something special.
Dan's killing your dreams.
You know what? It's better to know. CGC might grade it and be like, no, this is just a bad copy.
Yeah, they burned through the copy.
You're not rich, dude, off of this. Yeah. We'll see.
What I want to talk about that real quick though. What are some of these what are some of your favorite 1 of 1s that you kind of talk about that is your favorite thing?
All right, I got one right now. I think it's so freaking cool, dude. So Superman #4, John Byrne cover. It's the first appearance of Bloodsport. You saw him in Suicide Squad, played by Idris Elba. Great character, love the character. I have this weird, oversized magazine with it released the same time as Superman 4, but it's the same cover, but much bigger and red instead. And it's like the London magazine printing version. And not only can you not find it anywhere on eBay, you can't find it on my comic shop, you can't find this thing anywhere. I don't even know how I got it. It was just like in a collection and it was pristine. I sent it to CGC, fast tracked it as a magazine, and it actually came back a 9.8. It is not only the only copy in any grade, but it did get the 9.8. And it's just like so cool. The only one that exists. Forget, 9.8 in any grade. Damn. And the fact that the research is like so impossible for this thing, I'm just like, I love that stuff. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
super weird, super, super weird. And from what I've sort of been able to gather, it was like an extraordinarily limited London print run. It's not even technically a DC printing. It's like London Publications or whatever. It's super weird. But I love shit like that.
I wonder if you go to London, you could find some in some flea markets there.
I don't know. I don't know. There's no expert on it. I've typed until my fingers are blue trying to find information on it. So I don't know.
I found something like that it's a Star Wars card from the 70s. You know the goldenrod card, the green one. Well, I found an orange one that's O-Pee-Chee, which was Canadian, the Canadian version. I can find no information on if it was a real card or not. So I submitted it to PSA. I'll find out in a couple months, hopefully, maybe shorter than that. But I've talked to people and people said it's a fake. I'm like, well, how do you know it's a fake? Well, I mean, like, if there's nothing, there's no data on it. There's like, it looks like the card. It looks authentic from 1970. So what makes it a fake?
Yeah,
So
I love stuff that has no data. I mean, it's frustrating as a YouTuber who does research for videos full time, but I love when there's no data. That means you're onto something weird.
Yep.
James, how long do you spend going down the rabbit hole with this kind of stuff?
Too long, man. I mean, when it's your full time job, you can, I just do. Every second is spent researching this shit. So
Would you say that's your favorite part of the hobby then?
Yeah, the video making is easily my favorite part of everything.
Like the actual making of the video or the researching for the video?
The whole process of making a video is my favorite part. My least favorite part, honestly, is the sales side of it, but like I need to do that so that I can feed my baby. But yeah, that part can not be super fun. It takes like I do these live sales that they go for 5 hours. It takes another 5 hours to invoice and another like 10 hours to get everything shipped. And then 3 days later, I do it again. And then 3 days later, I do it again. And then all throughout, I'm making money off of eBay and at the antique shop. So
now, do you
any joy out of the hobby? Yeah, but I find the joy in other ways. The joy comes from the hunt, and the joy comes from the YouTube video making. The selling, listen, I like getting paid. I just don't like. I don't like all that goes into it. It's not the funnest.
That's fair.
Yeah, I kind of look at that way in like in my day job, and let's say in comic sales, you find something, and once you've sold it, you're kind of on to the next thing. Like the fun part was the signing the paperwork or whatever, but like once you get paid, you're like,
It was fun finding the book in the wild,
right.
selling it, and like, I have to take pictures of it, and I need to get it on eBay, and oh god, eBay's gonna take 20%, and like, all that stuff it's not fun. That's okay though.
Now your IG page, I'm assuming that you get good people coming, or at least from your YouTube page, to your live sales, because that's the problem we were talking about on our chat. Is I sell a lot on eBay, Rohan does a lot on Facebook. The consignments on IG are not as lucrative for us, but if you have the following, you can definitely do pretty well
Yeah, I'm
on.
looking at my. I keep forgetting about my IG. I'm doing so poorly on that. Like, I'm definitely one of those people that I'm obsessed with trying to be the best YouTuber I can be, and I definitely forget about the other stuff. Like, there was even a while I was doing TikToks and making them also into YouTube Shorts about comic fun facts, and that was really fun. I literally ran out of fun facts though, so I had to stop. Um, that was the last time I was actually remembering to do the other stuff. Um, I, it, I think I have too many irons in the fire.
But when you have your YouTube channel, like they're connecting with you through, like we have a YouTube channel.
It's all YouTube, yeah. Like,
but we don't get very many. Like I don't get notifications about YouTube like I do on IG. So if you're getting
I see
direct,
what you're saying. Yeah, people reach out to me through Facebook Messenger, email. Somehow they get my phone number, even though I don't advertise it. I don't know that one. Um, IG, yeah, I actually get messaged all the time. I always joke with my wife. I was like, oh my god, I need a secretary. Like, don't look at me,
right?
you know. And that's I think a lot of people are shocked to hear that this is still a one-man operation for me. I have like good friends doing the same thing. Like Bry's Comics, I think he's got like a few guys helping
Yeah,
him
he's
full
got
time,
a
and like
little army of them for him. Yeah.
pretty much everyone has like at least one helper or like an army, and like I'm really still doing this shit on my own.
Well,
But like I've always done it that way. I don't get sponsors. I don't. It's just all me, baby. I kind of like that, but it's annoyingly stubborn.
James, Ryan, our friend here, wants to ask, what's your best performing type of videos?
I honestly wish I could tell you that I knew for sure. Like I thought it was one type of video, and then like a different video will do better. And I thought my flea market, camera here going to flea market, like my live hunting videos were my best. But then, like randomly, my like 3-year-old controversial 100 controversial comics, like that just like boosted up. Apparently that's my number one video now. What? I don't know. Um and then like
good one
there's
though.
just, like it's random, dude. Like I swear to you it's random. Every time I think I figured out the YouTube algorithm, or like I see a video did really well from like a year ago or whatever. So I'll make like a similar type of video and it'll tank. So like, I try not to follow the trends and I try to just like make the content I want to make. Sometimes the YouTube algorithm rewards me and sometimes it slams me on my ass.
What about this question here from Mattis? He asked, how come you haven't done a video going through that Green Lantern collection?
Sure. Yeah, I get asked that all the time. Yeah. One part of the answer is it's that vast that it is overwhelming thinking of doing the editing for it. Like I collect all of the 90s run, but also all the 60s run. So there's like 400 to 500 books there, all graded. It's like, how could I possibly show it in one video? How could I possibly talk about each book's significance in one? I mean, it would be like a 2-hour video.
Well, that's what you got to do. It's like the Ken Burns documentary series on the Vietnam War. You're just going through Green Lantern.
Dude, honestly, it's overwhelming. Is the real honest answer for you. Now, I will say, I was saying earlier, financials are really tight. And it is very possible that I will look to sell the Green Lantern collection. And once I make that decision, it's all gonna go. And I will be making a video at that time. Here it is. I'm selling my Green Lantern collection. It's all for sale. Blah, and like
Maybe whoever's number 4 on the registry will just take that all off your hands.
Yeah, I gotta find number 4. I wish there was a way to contact them. I'll never be number 1 though, dude.
Do you know why
Dude,
why you say
you
that?
want to have a good time, go
I've
to
never actually looked at any of the registry stuff
oh,
on
it's
CBC's
fascinating,
site.
dude. Oh my god. Go in the CGC registry and find like the main Green Lantern run. I mean, like this dude has, I mean, like, dude, he has like some 9.8s from like the first 20 issues, and like just like stupid stuff. You know, like I think he has a 9.8 Green Lantern one. Like
Wow.
what? Excuse me? Yeah. So I'm never gonna get that. That's ridiculous. But the 70s and the 80s stuff, I was able to do that after a lot of tremendous hunting.
Real quick, since we're asking about James or about Green Lantern, do you have any interest in the Golden Age Green Lantern?
No. Dude, it's too expensive, dude. Like, forget it.
I was gonna say,
Dude,
is that
honestly,
predicated on the value buy side of it?
yeah, I actually really don't like Alan Scott.
Mhm.
And if you go back and read that stuff, like Hal Jordan came on the scene and he was so different. Like literally the only thing that was the same was the name.
Yeah, yeah, and the
There's
character design, everything is
Yeah,
completely
like,
different.
dude, like the whole lore of the 60s stuff is so much better than the Golden Age stuff. And they've made Alan Scott more interesting in like All-Star Squadron and like other issues in the 80s. But like Homie was boring as hell when they started him. So like not only is it ungodly expensive, there's like 10 existing copies of some of that stuff. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not even a millionaire. I'm not even a half a millionaire, which you would need to be to chase that stuff. So forget it. You know.
Yeah.
I've
Now, do
learned
you
how
have
to
a
read. I
showcase?
also used to collect. I
But James,
almost
what
got-
happens? You're buying you come in these collections
Yeah.
twice a week. One day, maybe some Alan Scott
never
rolls
run
into
into
the
it. There are a lot of books I've still never run into. I've never, in all my collection buying, I've never had. I barely ever get Golden Age anyway. But I've never held a Green Lantern Golden Age book other than #1 at I've held that a couple times. Like someone showed me their personal copy and then another one at like a Comic-Con. And like that would be a cool book to get, not gonna lie. #1, yeah. Or what's it, All-Star 24? I forget his actual first appearance.
All American 16.
16, okay. Yeah. Like that would be obviously cool as hell, but considering I'm not that attached to the character, let someone else drop $1 million on that.
Yeah,
man.
it would be one. It would be one to be cool just to hold and take a picture with.
Yes. Especially being known as like the Green Lantern guy, I do need to get a picture with it.
That, I mean, of those Golden Age Grails, that's supposedly like one of the rarest out
Yeah.
there.
Stupid. You get into like stupid money with that,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, how about Showcase 22? Is that one you have or one you want?
I've had it like 5 times. I've damn never had that over a 3. I think maybe I had like a 3.5 one time. But I was always hunting at least a 5. I never got it. And now again, I might be selling. So one day, I would love to get like a 7, you know, something nice and high grade. But dude, even a 7 of that is, I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
5-7 grand.
No, it'd be
Oh,
more than that. Way more
dude,
than that.
that's like the 2.5s.
Yeah,
I saw
no,
two for
I
like
think
2 grand.
2.5s right now are like $2,000 right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. They are down, but I think like a 4.0 is like around that pocket. If you want like a 7.5 or something like that, you're shelling out. I think 20 grand.
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh,
say
wow.
you're in the 20 to 30 range at the 7.0, if not
Jesus.
higher.
Yeah.
Because there can't be many more higher grade than, I mean, I'm sure there are, but
I think the
below.
highest grade is a 9.2.
We can check real quick. Let's see.
Yeah. You want to do a live check on that for me?
Let's
If
see
there's a
here.
9.8, I'll scream.
Yeah,
I don't think there is.
that was my
remember that.
dad's favorite character. Apparently, he wasn't a comic book guy, but he said he liked the Green Lantern. So,
Well, people forget that Showcase 22, I mean, it's also Carol Ferris. It's also Abin Sur. I mean, it's a loaded up book. It's It's expensive for.
All right, so there's 194, 192, and then there's 490s.
I can't believe there's a 9.4. Who's
And
got?
it does
You know
show.
who's got that? You know who's got that 9.4?
Number one on the registry.
Mr. Number One on the CGC registry has got that 9.4. Yeah. And that's whatever. I knew I was never going to be number one, number two. I honestly never knew I was going to be in the top 10. So
that's a pretty good accomplishment, though.
Yeah. And my wife was like, asking me. She was like, "Well, like, what would happen if you sold the Green Lanterns?" I was telling her what I thought I could get for it, and she was like, "Sell them right now!" Like what do you mean we can't go out to breakfast? What do you mean we can't buy a stick of gum and you have all this money in Green Lantern? Yeah, it's funny. Like, I won't get the second cup of coffee.
But do you tell your wife, you say, "Babe, if I sell them, then you're no longer gonna be able to brag to your other girlfriends that your husband has the number 3 ranked set of gold Green Lantern"?
I tell her that every night, man. My buddy's single as hell, and I tell him all the time. I was like, "Listen, man, you gotta show her the Spider-Man collection. She'll be thrilled with you." But he's too afraid. But honestly, like, relationship advice, dude. Girls in 2025, they like dorks, man. It's a good time. Good time.
That's why Rohan's married.
Good time to be a dork. Yeah, it's great. And you guys are older than me, but do you remember as a kid? Because it was still the case when I was a kid. Being into superheroes was not cool when you were kids.
Well, I mean, like when I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 83, so like the biggest years of my childhood were in the 90s, and like that, my prime comic collecting era as a kid was the X-Men 1, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane Spider-Man 1. Like that was definitely a popular thing amongst the school kids that we ran around with. It faded. It faded quickly though. Like we transitioned to sports cards fairly quickly, I would say.
Yeah, like so. Lunch Money says I was mercilessly bullied. I survived bullying by being funny. If there are kids watching there tonight, be the class clown. You can avoid bullying.
Yeah, I mean that's clear. Mike's not funny, so no wonder he got that.
He's not funny at all. No.
Dude, like honestly, like my advice to kids is like, hey, I know it's tough out there, dude. Be funny. No one messes with a funny kid. You're fine.
Everyone likes the funny guy.
Yeah, but yeah, like, dude, I feel like it was honestly just me. And I was asking around in elementary school. Ain't nobody except for me and the dude that I went to his house on the weekends that were doing it. I honestly don't think anyone else cared. I was the first generation like Pokemon boom. People were caring about that, but not comics. It was weird. But it's like I found that to be dorkier than
did none of your friends watch like Batman the animated series, the Spider-Man cartoon? Like that was big in the 90s.
The Batman the animated series, Spider-Man, the X-Men. Yeah, they did, but they
was like 5 when that came out.
It's weird.
Like 5.
Well, my point was now, dude, like now, like these middle schoolers, because I told you I got an antique shop across from a middle school. These kids tell me all the time, like, everybody knows the movies, everybody knows the shows. I get like swarms of kids in the shop, like, "Hey James, do you have any glow in the dark covers?" And I get to show them like cool old Ghost Rider back issues.
Yeah.
That were, like, dude, like the next generation is way more interested in comics.
Well, this is great to hear, because like how many times do we see people kind of being upset, like, "Oh, kids aren't into this kind of thing. What is going to happen?"
That drives me nuts. That is clickbait, rage bait trash. It is just people trying to get views for their YouTube channel. I'm telling you right now, the next generation loves comic books.
There you go.
Dude, think about it. We like comic books because of the IPs and the material that we remember when we were kids. These kids grew up with the MCU.
Yeah.
They're going to
Yeah.
have nothing but the fondest memories of this shit 30 years from now. But no, people love to make their stupid clickbait videos talking about blah, 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 blah. The kids, the comic book industry is dead. It's going the way of the Beanie Baby. Shut it. It's crap,
Yeah.
dude. It's crap.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I know. I agree with you because like when they get older, like yeah, sure, like we all kind of reach a period where like we kind of walked away, we got into different things.
Yeah.
But when you're kind of older, like why did we get back into it, right? Because we wanted to bring something back from our childhood. And so you think about these kids, they think about like, oh, I really enjoyed the MCU stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course, like there's gonna be a whole bunch of them that are like, where did this stuff come from? That's gonna be fun for me to kind of dive into.
Yeah, and like just because like 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds are like complaining about the MCU now still doesn't impede on their memories from the last 15 years. And yeah, you know what? The CGI in Moon Knight was ass.
Yeah,
And
that was.
there's problems. Like I won't lie, the
Nothing's
MCU
perfect. Nothing's ever gonna be. Everything's
it's
not gonna always be awesome.
perfect, man. But
We
the way I
loved
see it is
Fantastic Four from the early 2000s. So I mean, that's
No,
okay.
I didn't love it. I didn't
Hey,
love it.
I did.
the way I see it is like, do we even realize how lucky we are that we got 3 Ant-Man movies? Are you
I mean,
kidding me?
No,
What
I would agree.
universe are we in
I
which
would-
we have 4 Thor movies? Like, okay, sorry, the 4th one wasn't good. Okay, that's fine. We still
Yeah.
got 4 Thor movies. That was impossible.
Yeah.
If you were a kid being told there were going to be 4 Thor movies or 4 Captain America movies, much less a Sam Wilson-led Captain America movies, you'd be like, get out of here.
I mean, I do remember as a kid, whenever there was a show that came out, I was like, I loved Lois and Clark, for example, when I loved that show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone remembers in the 90s, they had a Flash TV show. And we
Yeah.
would watch. It wasn't very good, but like at the time, we would always watch it because it was Flash and it was something we loved from we were kids. So you're totally right in the sense that like we are spoiled now.
Dude, I know,
Like-
so spoiled. It's kind of like the give a mouse a cookie thing. Like, we got the good ones, and there's plenty of good superhero movies. And there is a little bit of superhero fatigue. for
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, we talked about the Captain America movie last week, and I said, the movie has flaws,
Yeah.
but I told you, I was like, the thing is I still was excited that I had a movie to go see
Yeah.
to get like again, like we had that kind of like they kind of paused. Obviously they had Deadpool Wolverine last year, but like it felt like it had been so long.
Yeah.
And not everyone's gonna hit, obviously, but like I love the idea of every 3 months, I'm gonna get excited like, oh, I'm gonna go see Thunderbolts, and I'm gonna hope maybe it's gonna be awesome.
Just think, Rohan, in about a year, you're going to be able to see the main man, Lobo, in his own movie. And James, you're a DC guy. We think about Lobo having been in the movie and being.
JP, I'm definitely gonna go see the movie because it's in the Supergirl movie for sure. But me and JP have this like inner joke of like a feud with Lobo sucks and he loves Lobo, but I think him shit for it. But
2 things: Lobo's dope. Second thing is the source material that they're using was a really good series.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. The Girl
it's
from
really
Tomorrow.
good. I do think people should keep their expectations at bay because I don't know how huge Lobo's role is going to be in that. So just slow down. But we are going to get a Lobo movie after that, almost guaranteed, because Jason Momoa is a dream casting for that. And that's another thing. Like, dude, the DC upcoming universe, not only was it ridiculously needed, but they have been killing the castings. It's been amazing. Dude,
So
they found some dude that just is Jon Stewart.
Yeah, no, the Jon Stewart casting it's uncanny how good it is.
He actually looks like a cartoon Jon Stewart.
Yeah, I watched that. He's in that movie Rebel Ridge, and I remember watching that being like, dude, this guy, this is ridiculous, like how perfect he is.
Yeah, and like, dude, did you see the Green Arrow? Like, they found an actual Oliver Queen.
I didn't watch the Green Arrow show.
Like, every single confirmed casting for every single upcoming DC thing, I'm just like, oh yeah, duh. It's like the guy doesn't even need to dress up like the character. He can do it now. So I'm really excited. I thought Now, I hate being a hater, but I definitely, oh God, I thought the last decade for DC has been really kind of
No,
painful.
for sure, and they've been, but we've talked about this before too. And I was saying, like, we have like our friend Colossus, who's, I don't know if he's still here, but he loves. I mean, he's a huge MCU guy, and he doesn't really have a lot of love for DC. And I said, but Brian,
That's all about to change.
no,
Yeah.
but my point was, Brian, you should still be cheerleading for the DCU, because if it's a success, that will only make the MCU better.
Oh yeah, more
Like
competition.
it will raise all tides. Like, if you were a comic book fan, whether or not you were Marvel or DC, you want both to be kicking ass,
Yeah,
because
dude.
that's what's going to continue to level up the game as years go by.
Yeah, like if DC's doing really well, that's another kick in the pants that Marvel's going to do. And I already feel like Marvel's been feeling the pressure. They've actually been listening to people. And I've seen things be implemented, like the fact that they let Deadpool be so rated R, the fact that they allowed so many reshoots to get the newest Captain America movie right. And I still think they stumbled a little bit, but overall, I can tell where the reshoots helped it. Birds of Prey.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it.
Hey, I still think the Flash movie was great with Michael Keaton, and everyone thinks I'm an idiot for that one.
Yes,
So
it actually was. I don't think it was great. I do think it was good.
I loved it.
I like the Michael Keaton stuff was like I
Oh.
wouldn't have even changed anything. Like it was
No, the
great.
Michael Keaton. I think the Michael Keaton stuff, I would agree, was good.
That
It was
movie had
everything
elements.
else.
It had a lot of elements that spoke to me on
And
a
you know what?
personal level.
That movie had a good second half.
Oh yeah.
I thought
Great.
the second half was better, whereas I feel like lately Marvel's had a lot better first halves. Like Shang-Chi.
No,
Loved the
Shang-Chi's
movie, did
Shang-Chi.
not like the last 30%
No.
of the movie.
Shang-Chi, the first half of the movie is like excellent. Like, it is
Yeah.
everything you want a Shang-Chi movie to be. And
Dude.
then the back half, you're like,
All right.
oh.
And yet it's the highest rated audience and critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. What the hell?
That's it's funny because I don't, and again, I'm someone that talks to a lot of people because of what we've been in this hobby that are into this type of thing. I'm yet to meet anyone that's like, Shang-Chi phenomenal 100% all the way through.
No, see, I know those guys. The guy I saw the movie with, my best friend, was like, "Oh, 10 out of 10." I was like, "What?" Yeah,
Well,
I was like, "I'm giving that thing a 5, dude. You got to be kidding me."
Yeah.
Also, though, hot take. I thought Black Panther 1 was like a 7 at best.
I
love
think
either.
Black Panther 1 is good. When I see people put it in like the top 5 MCU movies, I'm like,
Although,
no.
you know what? I keep forgetting. A lot of that is because of the last like 20 minutes that I don't like. Like it is actually a good movie. It's probably better than a 7, but I don't like the last little bit of the movie. I also thought that Eric Killmonger was like stealing the show a little bit from T'Challa. Like he was such a good villain that like they actually had to like make him comically evil because he was starting to like make sense. So like he was starting to make sense. So they had to like make him more radical and like, then Black Panther had to stop him. I don't know. That was not a total winner for
But
me.
see, that
I
was the
actually
whole
loved Black Panther
everything
2.
everything was rolling for them at that point. That's why it probably got a higher score than what you're.
Well,
than what
I mean, like, we don't need to get into this side of thing, but like there was also a lot of cultural things going on at this
and
time
the
that really helped.
music and the costume design and the freaking everything. It was like
I really enjoy Black Panther, but it's not a top 5.
yes, okay.
It's not a top 5 MCU.
It might actually be. It might be a top 10, but it might be like
I could totally agree with the top 10, but
yeah,
top 5.
Flash is definitely top 5. Flash is top 5.
What's your top 1 MCU? Let's hear it.
Oh, for me, it's Winter Soldier.
Okay, JP.
So for me, it's Winter Soldier, Civil War 1 and 2, and then I would say Infinity War and then Endgame. That'd be my top 4.
Okay.
I would say Endgame and Ragnarok would be my top 2.
I would say Guardians 1.
Yeah, Guardians 1 is definitely in. So I said those are my 4. I think you can make an argument for the 5th slot. For me, it would be like Guardians, Ragnarok, The first Avengers movie I really love.
Dude, when I saw Winter Soldier, oh my god, I saw it with my one friend. I've never seen a movie with this guy ever since. Dude, he was like the whole movie. He was on Tinder, like just like hitting up chicks. The whole movie, it ruined the movie. I actually it massively interrupted my thoughts on the movie. I had to watch it a couple times later and was like, oh, this is really good. But I still have that weird, like the first time I watched it, I was just so mad. I was just like, dude, I'm gonna kill you. You know,
It ruined your experience for that movie.
You know, what the hell?
I think I saw Endgame 3 times, if not 4, in the theater. So I spent 12 hours in the theater watching that movie just because I each of my kids had to go see it on their own. So
yeah, I saw that 4 times. I know I saw Guardians. I think like 4 or 5.
Guardians one, I actually just after I saw Brave New World, I gotta get that kick. So I literally watched Winter Soldier, Civil War, Ragnarok, Black Panther, Guardians, and then I watched over the weekend. I watched Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah.
You know what? I just realized I was too harsh on the last 10 years of DC because Wonder Woman 1 was actually pretty good.
I don't even remember that movie to be very well, to be honest.
It's so worth a rewatch. It's good. She was such a good.
She's a good cast for. She's a great casting for.
I mean, the guy from Star Trek in it, right?
Yeah,
I'm not a Trekkie. I don't know.
He's the guy that was in the newer J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. Yeah,
he was her love interest.
Yeah.
Chris Pine. Yeah.
Chris Pine.
I mean, yep. I will even admit, like, as bad as those movies were, like, a lot of the casting was phenomenal, right? Like,
I think Affleck was a great Batman, and I loved him.
He was a great Batman too. I think
Batman versus Superman. He was a great Frank Miller Batman. I mean, that scene where he beat the crap out of everybody.
Yeah, in the warehouse when that was phenomenal. I thought.
Yeah.
But the movie is terrible. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I just disagree, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I watched Spawn when it came out in the 90s and loved Spawn back then, and then got Spider-Man 1 and 2001, and then X-Men and everything else that came out in the early 2000s, and I loved them all, and they weren't billion-dollar movies until Iron Man and then Avengers, you know. So
I love those Spider-Man movies and the X-Men movies.
Oh my god, the early 2000s, so good, dude. And I feel like
Spider-Man 2 is phenomenal.
Dude,
Doc Ock.
Well, I did. I just rewatched 1 through 3 of the Tobys. 1, unfortunately, is quite dated. It actually is. I hate to admit. 2 could have been made like last week.
Excellent.
The jump in quality between 1 and 2 is crazy. And honestly, it's got better CGI than what's coming out now.
Yeah. It's got some. Spider-Man 2 is phenomenal.
It's just phenomenal, dude. I don't know. I guess I forgot. Like, dude, it was so good.
I mean, people hate on me for this. I still think X2 is a great movie.
Of course it is. Oh my god, we're watching right now some reality show called The Traitors, and it's Alan Cumming is like the host, and
the Nightcrawler.
And I was telling my wife, I was like, "Do you remember that freaking opening?
The opening scene in the White House is sick.
Scene in X2 is
sick.
Hits, dude, and no one talks about it.
It is one of the best scenes like we've seen in Marvel ever. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, straight up. I'm also, my favorite X-Men movie is Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past is awesome.
That was
fantastic movie.
Especially if you do swing for the extended cut, way worth watching exclusively that version.
Yeah, that's a fantastic movie.
Oh my god. Oh my god, so good. And it's the original Endgame, right? Because they send him back in time to undo. It's the time heist, right?
Yeah.
It's the first Endgame, just like 5 years before.
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie, dude. My play count on that is high. Although nothing compares to my play count of Dark Knight. I mean, like, I'll sit there bagging and boarding. I'll put the Dark Knight on, even though I had just put it on a week.
I'll do the whole Nolan trilogy is a consistent watch for me.
I
Dude,
love
I
watching
actually, if you
the
put a
beginning of that.
sheet over the TV, I don't need to see him. I can quote the whole movie.
Yeah.
I can do it.
There are certain movies that I put on to test surround sound, and that Dark Knight is one of them, and Matrix is another one that I
Yeah.
put on to get that effect. And
And
it's
Terminator
definitely
2. Yep.
yep.
Oh yeah, Terminator 2 is classic as well.
But I always think that Dark Knight movie is a tremendous look at our culture in 2008. It was the second $1 billion movie, I guess, if you put in Avatar. Prior to that was Titanic, which I've said before, which was happy-go-lucky the 90s. 2008 was fucking dark as a year, and that movie was the biggest movie of the year.
Dude,
And
I
just think
actually,
it's a great.
I didn't know the financials. I didn't know it. I didn't know it did that well.
Yeah,
The
it was
funny
huge.
thing is, my favorite of the trilogy is Batman Begins because I'm a Ra's al Ghul nut.
I love the first one because I love the training montages. I think
Yeah,
they're so
I live
sick.
for that shit.
Yeah.
But I think objectively the second movie is perfect, and I don't think the first
Oh, yeah.
movie was perfect. But I just, with me and my weirdness, I kind of like it ever so slightly more.
My one of my issues though is that I grew up with there was no movies except for Spawn and like in Superman, right?
And Blade.
And
Blade. So when they redid Batman, because I knew Batman '89, I'm like, what are they doing with this Batman movie? Like, why is the Joker back? He killed him in Batman 1, and my buddy's like, it's a totally different movie. I'm like, well, how's it different? It's supposed to be going in order, and you're not supposed to go out of order.
Which is funny because now you get like a reboot every like 5 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I kind of forgot that some people viewed that as jarring. I kind of forgot that. It's kind of like how, remember when Andrew Garfield got announced as the new Spider-Man? I hated it.
I'm gonna put
I
this
was
out.
so against that, dude. I was waiting for Spider-Man 4. I was pissed.
Dude, he of the three, he's in my opinion the best Spider-Man. Between him, Toby, and Tom Holland, I think Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. Like, say what you want about the movies. As Spider-Man himself, the character, I think he's the best.
I think in the second movie, yes. I also think the suit in the second movie is the best.
Yeah, it's the best suit for sure, in my opinion.
It's just the ultimate comics suit. Which I'm an Ultimate Spider-Man nut, so I love that.
Yeah.
I don't think he was the best Peter Parker. I think he was a little too cool. I think Toby was the best Peter for sure.
Yeah,
I think he nailed that shit.
I mean, I like all three. I really like.
Yeah,
I really like.
Tom's a nice blend of all. He's the Frankenstein of it all. I really like that. But now I appreciate, like, dude, the cinematography in the second Andrew Garfield movie. Like, say what you will about the movie, that whole clock tower sequence it's just gorgeous to look at.
I mean, I actually enjoy both of the Andrew Garfield movies as much as people hate on them. I enjoy them.
Yeah, well, that's good. I've learned to like them now, but I remember I was kind of being a hater back in 2012. I was being a little bit of a hater.
That's the same reason I didn't watch the Batman Begins or Dark Knight, and I didn't watch the Andrew Garfield, because I thought, what are you doing? You already did it. You just did it 5 years ago.
Yep.
No movie that's been redone does well. Look at Total Recall. Look at Red Dawn. They all sucked.
And here we're on the precipice of having two separate Batmans in the same time frame.
Yeah,
crazy.
But I think for me, it was just, and I don't even think it was the most comic accurate Batman. The most comic accurate Batman we've actually ever gotten by a landslide is Pattinson. Believe it or not. Yeah,
I think he's a great Batman.
Yeah, if you guys, you know the source material, that is like easily the most accurate Batman.
But you don't think Affleck was close to Dark Knight, like Frank Miller Dark Knight?
Here's the thing with that. So Dark Knight Returns was like a gritty Batman. But I feel like Ben Affleck's... No, you know what? I'll agree with you. I was going to... you kind of changed my mind mid-thought. Yes, he did a good gritty Batman. Is it the same as the Dark Knight Returns? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
I was excited to see a potential Ben Affleck directed Batman movie.
Yeah, because I do think Ben Affleck understands Batman. Um, I actually did kind of think he was a pretty good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
Agreed.
think that. I was not a big fan of his Batman for a lot of. I won't get into it.
I mean, I wonder if part of that is because those movies were terrible. Like, did that part of maybe partially ruin that?
Oh, I'm
enjoyment?
sure that
Yeah.
yeah, that has to play. I mean, when your script is ass,
Mhm.
that's not going to be so good. I mean,
But
dude, when I tell you, I don't like using this terminology because like I do think the internet just dog piles on stuff, but like I do think I actually hated Batman v Superman.
Oh, it is one of
I
the
might have
worst.
actually hated that
It
movie.
is one of the worst movies I have
dude.
ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
worst
So
movie.
bad.
Have you seen Steel Magnolias or something like that? For Christ's sake, come on now.
No,
Now
it
I
is.
would, yeah.
It is.
You know
I'll
what?
tell you
No,
another movie that all equally rubs me as wrong because I love to see it. Transformers 2 is equally. It's so
I don't
pathetically
remember.
bad.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's
saw it in
so bad.
theaters. I just don't. I remember it was too long. Like I was
It
bored.
is. Oh, it's so
Yeah,
bad. So bad.
I don't. You got to see Doomsday in the Batman Superman movie. I thought
Yeah,
that was a
that
cool.
wasn't, dude. That wasn't Doomsday. That was like the cave troll from Lord of the Rings. What the heck?
Right. I mean, it wasn't the Doomsday we knew, but it was.
That was, dude. That was not even 1% Doomsday.
Think about Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer, that first movie with the Cloud of Galactus
Hey, I had
and
a
the
problem with that too. So
Green
did
Lantern
everybody.
movie. Right, and they screwed up the first time, so they'll get better on the next time. But it's kind of cool to see that character on screen because like you
Yeah,
said, it's cool to have 4 Thor movies. It was cool to have Doomsday on screen, but
of course. In any way. And like, I don't want to, even though I don't like the movie, I really don't want to take away. If someone liked the movie, I'm not going to be that guy. And I do know that the extended cut is better. It's
Right.
better than the theatrical release.
I do like the
Just
extended
like
cut
this,
of the Justice League movie better.
But
yeah,
Than
it's
the
this.
4 hours
Snyder
long.
cut of Justice League was a lot better than the theatrical too.
But it's 4
So
hours long.
yeah,
I had to watch it over 2 nights.
if you give the directors more time to pour their love will show. So of course that happened with both of those versions. Krypton's Doomsday was the most comic accurate. Yeah, Krypton had a really good Brainiac, actually. Krypton had a really good Brainiac. I don't want to undersell that. The Brainiac was like spot on. Do you guys know anything about that?
I don't know that show.
It
No.
would be a good one to Google after
Okay.
this. Watch like a clip or two. It's like eerily good, and unfortunately, like 8 people watched it. Oh, you know what else? 8 people watched, dude. Frickin' remember when DC before they were like with Max or whatever, they had their own like Discovery
The
thing,
CW shows.
Titans, Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, and Swamp Thing. Dude,
Mm.
Swamp Thing was so good, and like 14 people watched it, and it didn't get renewed for a second season. And I think that is a tragedy. That show was
Hey,
a gem.
I told you I really enjoyed Superman and Lois.
Yeah,
Now, Doom Patrol, was that the one with Brendan Fraser?
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know they had Swamp Thing. I watched Doom Patrol a couple episodes of that.
That's the thing is like it was so badly marketed. It was so, and it was in the middle of all that shit when they really didn't know what they wanted to do. And it just really got overlooked. Most people don't even know it happened.
I didn't know it happened.
Yeah,
No, I didn't either.
and that's crazy to me. In fact, I thought it was so good. A year ago, I wanted to watch it again, so I looked it up. You can't stream it anywhere. I had to actually buy it on. I had to you couldn't even rent it. I had to buy the full season on Amazon. It was like $30 because that's the only way I could rewatch it.
Huh.
That's how buried this thing is.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What the hell?
That's
It's
terrible.
crazy.
As well as the Penguin did. That was a great series.
Dude, that was
Penguin was awesome.
dude. I would actually give that like a 10 out of 10. That
Penguin was excellent.
Whatever expectations I had got far exceeded. I mean, I think it was probably better than the Batman movie, even. And like that's crazy.
Yeah, it was excellent. I agree
Brandon,
with Brandon
I
here.
saw Creature Commandos. For whatever reason, I watched up until the last episode. I have not seen the last episode. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm waiting for. So
Yeah, I thought it was super fun. You know, real quick, 20 minutes each week. It was fun.
I need more, but it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, James, I think we're coming up on an hour and 40. I think we should call this thing, shut it down. I got to go get my kids to bed.
Yeah. Look, one thing that was kind of nice, I'm usually the one who gets on put the kid to bed duty, but because of the interview, the wife did it. Yeah. But
Nice.
unfortunately, I am the overnight
Whatever
shift.
you do to help out.
Yeah.
I'm the overnight shift right now, and he has not been sleeping so well. He's been waking up at like he used to sleep through the night. He's 9 months old. But for some reason the last like month he's been waking up at like midnight, and then just like it's really hard.
Yeah, I remember with mine that there's like a 9-month sleep regression. It's definitely a thing. Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. But James, before we get out of here, why don't you just tell everybody, you got your sales, everything, if you want to share where if people that don't know you, where they can find you.
Oh God. Yeah. I if you're in the area, I do have an antique shop in New Jersey, Pennington, New Jersey. But you can check me out on YouTube, Minthunter, like Mint Leads, Minthunter Comics. Not .com. I actually don't have a website. I really should. It's just all YouTube, man. That's all I care about is the YouTube stuff. Minthunter Comics. We try to do like 3 videos a week. Lately, it's kind of been more like 2. And there's no consistency. So the videos are going to be completely random, but it's all going to be just love for the hobby and comics. So.
Love it. Thanks for coming on, man. It's been awesome.
Hell yeah, guys.
Yeah, it's great to finally talk to you.
Yeah. Good to see you too. And I hope everything goes great, and I wish you guys the best.
Yeah, and good luck with your upcoming house down payment.
And remember, always believe in yourself, everybody.
Yes. You can do it, kids.
All right, guys.
Peace out, guys.
See you in the next episode. Peace out.